All right, here we are. I got a special guest today. First, I got #1 film critic in the country, Mr. Sean Edwards.
It's all good.
And then I have Mr. Cuba Gooding Jr., one of my
No,
favorite
you gotta
actors.
say Academy Award winner.
I gotta say Academy
Come on,
Award
baby.
winner, Cuba Gooding Jr. And not only are we talking about his Academy Award, but right now, Jerry Maguire will be 20 years old today. So we got 20 years since Academy Award celebration.
Yeah, I
Mr.
guess
Cuba
so.
Gooding Jr. And it's such a great day to talk to you today because everybody's been talking about the nominations from yesterday and the feelings about people being left out and the change in face of the Academy with Cheryl Boone Isaacs and the voting. When you look at from 20 years ago till today, has any of the dynamics of the Academy seemed to change to you? Or
Well, you know, when you say change, yes, of course, there has been change. Morgan Freeman finally got his Academy Award, which was long overdue. There have been more Academy Award winners, you know, that one year. I think Halle and Denzel won in the same year. But has there been enough change, I think, should be the question. And I don't think there has been enough diversity. But I think conversations like this help promote change, you know. And you look at the Academy members, and you look at the faces of the Academy members, and is diversity increasing? Yes. Has it increased enough? You know, that's where the debate is. I think that good work is good work, and it should be recognized for such. You know, if it was up to me, I would have given many more nominations to Straight Outta Compton. I think there was something so poignant about that story. You know, you looked at the one aspect of the movie that really hit me hard is interesting is that whole controversy behind the song "Fuck the Police" and how it had Middle America up in arms. They were so angry and saying, "How can you promote the violence against the police officers?" But what you don't understand is we're artists, and we give you that outlet to feel the frustrations from the images on the screen. And that's how you dispel a society from wanting to riot, because at least they voice their frustration through the images on the screen. And I think it was because of that song that people didn't go out and shoot police. I think it was they could express themselves through that you know, it's like why we watch a boxing match. You can't knock your boss out at work, but you can go and see some guy knock somebody and look just like your boss out in the ring, and that gives you that outlet. So I think it's important to have elements of that. You know, like our series, you know, the O.J. Simpson trial. You know, people are now, you know, you're seeing the parallels between police brutality and the corruption in the judicial system, and how certain things get led through the cracks. And you can, you know, look back on a time in America where it was okay to harass people by their looks, and now you got Middle Easterns coming here, and they're starting to experience what we experienced when we were just kids, you know, rolling down the street because we had our pants sagging, you know, or the color of our skin. And I think it's all relevant. I think it's all important and relevant and healing.
Well, the question I want to ask you, going back to the whole Academy Awards situation, and you know, everybody's talking about they need to diversify the membership. Yeah. You actually get to vote because you won, right?
That's right. That's right.
But how do you?
It's it's funny when you're invited to join the membership if you're nominated or you win, but if you still have to be accepted. Like it's like you put up your application.
I thought you were automatically in. If you got that trophy, I thought you were automatically in.
And by the way, I was a member before I was nominated.
Oh, so you were a member before?
The only requirements when I applied was that you have 2 Academy members of the Academy sponsor you. So I was doing a movie, Outbreak, and I asked Dustin Hoffman if he sponsored me, and he said yes. And then I went to Morgan Freeman, and he said, "No, I'm not a member." I said, "But you did try Miss Daisy." And he goes, "Yeah, but I never joined."
Wow.
It blew me away. So you know who my second sponsor was? Kevin Spacey.
Really?
Who was also in the movie Outbreak with me. Yeah, and then I think when Morgan won is he might be a member now, but yeah, just because you win doesn't mean you automatically, you still have to apply. It's interesting, huh?
Well, let's go back to my recollection of the Academy goes back to when I was like a kid, like, or a teenager.
Right.
And you were a part of a movie that's going to celebrate its 25th anniversary that to me was part of this whole original, the original snub, which was Boys in the Hood back in the day.
That's right.
Like, because I mean, that movie like created a whole entire genre and definitely deserved the Best Picture nod. Now I know John Singleton ultimately got the nomination for Best Director. He was like the first and screenplay, right? He was the first African American ever to be nominated for both of those. You know,
I don't know if he was the first, but he was definitely the youngest at that point.
Because he was 26, right?
20, no, it was
20.
When I did Boys in the Hood, I was 22, so he was 22, 20.
He was that young?
Yeah. We were the same age.
Yeah. See, that to me was the original, like, oh my God, like, we're creating, like, incredible movies and telling wonderful stories, but getting no recognition. Because that's what sort of like opened my eyes. But when you reflect back on that, I mean, what does it all mean to you like 25 years later? Because I mean, it's still a landmark movie that's really never gotten its full due.
It's interesting. Literally last weekend, I was in a restaurant and a Jewish 60-something-year-old woman came up to me and said, "Can I tell you something?" I said, "Sure." She said, "I have a son that just turned," actually she was younger than that because her son had just turned 20 or 21, and she made him watch Boys in the Hood. And it was really interesting to me because I'm sure she did it because it was such a coming of age story. But can you imagine a woman of her age and her nationality demanding that her son see that movie back in 1990? I don't think it would have happened.
No, never.
But here we are, 2016, and she felt it was important enough for him to see it on his, road to becoming a man. And that's what I think that movie represents to a lot of people. It isn't just a black story. Yeah. It isn't just an inner city story. It's a story of a coming of age of a group of people who had to make manly decisions. And I think that that's what the relevance of Boys in the Hood is even today, 25 years later. Even more so today because I think it is so universally accepted. I was watching an episode, and yes, I have to admit this to make my point, but Keeping Up with the Kardashians, don't question me. But it was interesting because I'm watching this scene where the mom, Kris Jenner, right, is talking to her black boyfriend, and they made an agreement. She's like, "You have to see some of my movies, Dr. Zhivago," and whatever she said, and he said, "And you have to see some of my movies, Friday and Boys in the Hood." And I went, "Oh my goodness!" And she said, "Deal." And it was interesting. It really blew me away.
Well, I mean, to a lot of people, especially in our demographic, I mean, Boys in the Hood is our Citizen Kane.
That's right.
Like that's the movie. Like, cause I have a kid. I made my kid watch Boys in the Hood, so that he can understand and see that, this is where I came from, and this is how much things have not changed. Because without Boys in the Hood, you don't have Straight Outta Compton. Because, Boys in the Hood, the title is a NWA song.
That's right.
I mean, so it all comes full circle, but it's sad to see that in that 25-year span, nothing has really changed when it comes to celebrating our stories. Well,
I know
it's hard to digest.
There's definite frustrations there, and the best way to remedy that is to do exactly what we're doing, is talk about it,
right,
point it out, and hopefully through that we can find a resolution.
Would you trade the lack of accolades that seem to be given to people of color as far as the Academy for just better pictures? Because, I mean, it seems like when Boys in the Hood 25 years ago, we had New Jack City, we had the Five Heartbeats, we had
all the Spike Lee movies early on,
all the early Spike Lee movies, and Waiting to Exhale. All these movies like coming from that era, and it seems like we went through a period where we weren't having those type of movies, and now it seems like with a lot of the current movies, like we're getting back to like quality movies. Do you think that's changing, even besides the awards, that we're getting back to making movies that are
real statement movies? I think yes, and I think the reason why is because our audience now has grown. It isn't just black people watching these black themed movies.
Yeah, that's true.
We have an African American president. And I think people that never were concerned with how that could happen are now interested, and not just us as butlers and chauffeurs, but as educators and doctors. And I think that's there's this wonderful series on now called The Nick, and they have a black doctor.
It's a great series.
Running a ward of a hospital in the early 20s in Manhattan. And people don't know that. I didn't know that in high school. And now here's a show where it's just this was, what happened back then. So yeah, I think that change is phenomenal.
All right, finally, I really want to wrap this up because I want to know what are the plans to celebrate the 25th anniversary of Boys in the Hood?
Well, I know that there's been a lot of requests as magazine covers and whatnot, and interviews that we're going to do. But I think my personal celebration will maybe to sit down with my two sons who are 19 and 21 and watch it.
I have one question to ask because you also played another character that's in the political news right now. After playing Dr. Ben Carson and doing that story with Gifted Hands,
Yes, sir.
and now seeing the politician Ben Carson,
Yeah.
did you know that person who we now see on TV existed in the character that you played?
Oh, absolutely. There's such a confidence and God-given grace to a man who has changed the lives of so many people. And on the other side, there's a definite amount of arrogance that runs to put someone's brain in your hand and think that you can make his life or her life better. And he did those things. So the presidency, to him, it's nothing that he has to feel insecure about.
Right.
And it's interesting because I knew when he was running, I was like, oh, here we go. This is going to be a show. That's all I'll say about it. Because I don't ever talk about politics because I think it takes away from, my political beliefs. It might take away from a role that you see me in.
Yeah.
The Republicans might think one way about me. The Democrats might think one way about me. So that's why I keep my political affiliations to myself. But you cannot take away the accomplishments of Dr. Ben Carson and what he's done for the medical community. So that being said, it's awesome.
It's all good. Hey, congratulations on the OJ series too, man.
Thank you.
I haven't seen a second of it, but I know it's going to be off the charts. I know. This is my man right here. Congratulations. Hey, your career. If there was a Black Movie Hall of Fame, first ballot inductee.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, no, first ballot, baby. First ballot. First ballot.